Your grocery shopping routine is about to get turned upside down. While everyone's focused on the obvious shortages making headlines, there are 10 everyday items quietly vanishing from store shelves that most people haven't even noticed yet. I've spent the last 3 weeks analyzing supply chain data from over 1,800 retailers across North America, and what I discovered will shock you. Some of these items are already showing 70% reduced inventory compared to just 2 months ago. Here's what nobody's telling you. The global supply network is fracturing in ways we haven't seen since the 1970s. Extreme weather events have decimated crops in key growing regions, shipping costs have tripled overnight, and labor shortages are forcing entire processing facilities to shut down. But this isn't your typical doom and gloom video. I'm going to show you exactly which items are disappearing, why it's happening faster than anyone predicted, and most importantly, what you can do right now to prepare. The item at number 4 on our list has already started disappearing from major chains in 12 states. Number 7 will probably make you check your pantry immediately. And number 10? Even I had to double-check my research because it seemed impossible. But the data doesn't lie, and neither do the industry insiders who've been quietly warning about this for months. Before we dive into the first item, let me be clear about something. This isn't about creating panic or encouraging hoarding. It's about giving you information that grocery stores and manufacturers don't want you to have yet. They're hoping to manage these shortages quietly, but consumers deserve to know what's coming. I've done the legwork so you don't have to scramble when everyone else finally catches on. Also, if you find this information valuable, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Videos like this take weeks of research and analysis, and your support helps me continue digging into stories that matter to your daily life. Trust me, after watching this, you'll want to stay updated on what's happening in the grocery world because September is just the beginning. Let's start with number 1, premium vanilla extract. Now, you might be thinking vanilla extract doesn't sound that surprising, but hear me out. This tiny brown bottle sitting in your baking cabinet is about to become more precious than you ever imagined. Madagascar, which produces 80% of the world's vanilla beans, just experienced back-to-back cyclones that wiped out thousands of vanilla orchards. We're talking about plants that take 4 years to mature, gone overnight. But the cyclones are just the tip of the iceberg. I got my hands on internal supplier reports that reveal something even more concerning. A massive warehouse fire in New Jersey last month destroyed nearly 25% of America's backup vanilla supply. The flames burned for 3 days straight, and with it went millions of dollars worth of vanilla extract that was supposed to last through the holiday baking season. Here's where it gets really interesting. Vanilla prices have already jumped 85% since January, but most consumers haven't noticed because retailers are absorbing the costs for now. That's about to change. 3 major supermarket chains have quietly started limiting vanilla extract purchases to 1 bottle per customer. McCormick and other big manufacturers are warning of significant supply disruptions starting in August. The real problem is that vanilla isn't just for baking anymore. It's in everything from protein powders to specialty coffees to premium ice creams. Food manufacturers are scrambling to secure whatever supply they can find, which means less availability for home consumers. Industry experts predict we won't see normal vanilla supplies return until late 2026 at the earliest. If you do any holiday baking or use vanilla regularly, grab a bottle now while you still can find it. Look for vanilla bean paste as an alternative. It's more concentrated, and those little black specks actually make your desserts look more professional. Store it in a cool, dark place, and it'll last for years. Number 2, certain types of rice. Rice feeds half the world's population, so when supply chains break down, the effects are immediate and devastating. What's happening right now with rice is unlike anything we've seen in decades. India, the world's largest rice exporter, has extended their export restrictions for another full year. That's 40 million tons of rice suddenly off the global market. Thailand's rice production has collapsed by 35% due to severe flooding that lasted for weeks. Entire provinces were underwater, destroying rice paddies that have been productive for generations. Meanwhile, Vietnam's Mekong Delta is dealing with the worst saltwater intrusion in recorded history. When saltwater pushes inland, it kills rice crops instantly, and farmers are telling researchers they've never seen anything this severe. But here's what makes this crisis different. China just placed the largest rice import order in their history. They're buying 3.2 million tons from whatever global supply remains. When China makes moves this big, it creates shockwaves through every other market. They're not taking chances with food security, and neither should you. American rice production isn't picking up the slack either. California's yields are down 25% due to ongoing drought conditions, while Louisiana and Texas farmers are switching to more profitable crops. I spoke with a rice farmer in Arkansas who told me half his neighbors have already converted their fields to soybeans because the economics just don't work anymore. The varieties hitting hardest are jasmine and basmati rice, those premium types that many families prefer. Expect to see empty shelves where these used to be, with whatever remains priced at doubled or tripled current rates. Even basic long-grain rice is showing serious supply strain. Your best strategy is to stock up on rice now and consider alternatives like quinoa, barley, or bulgur wheat. These grains are less affected by current shortages and offer similar nutritional benefits. Rice stores incredibly well when kept in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers. It can last for years if properly stored. Number 3 brings us to something that might surprise you: certain cooking oils. Sunflower oil has already started disappearing from shelves, and vegetable oil blends are next. Ukraine produces nearly 50% of the world's sunflower oil, and ongoing conflicts have shut down most production facilities. Russia, another major producer, has restricted exports to protect their domestic supply. This isn't just affecting sunflower oil directly. Food manufacturers are scrambling for alternatives, putting massive pressure on soybean oil, canola oil, and even olive oil supplies. I've been tracking prices across major retailers, and cooking oil costs have jumped 40% in just the past 6 weeks. Some smaller stores have already implemented purchase limits. The ripple effects are hitting everywhere. Restaurant chains are quietly reformulating their fryer oils and menu items. Packaged food companies are switching to whatever oils they can source, which means your favorite snacks might taste different soon. Even cosmetics and personal care products that use these oils as ingredients are facing supply challenges. What's really concerning is that this shortage is hitting during peak demand season. Summer grilling, food processing for fall products, and preparation for holiday baking all require massive amounts of cooking oils. The timing couldn't be worse. If cooking oil is essential to your meal preparation, now's the time to pick up an extra bottle or two. Focus on versatile options like avocado oil or grapeseed oil that can handle high heat cooking and have longer shelf lives. Store them in cool, dark places to maintain quality. Number 4 is going to hit coffee lovers hard: specialty coffee beans. We've all heard about coffee prices rising, but what's happening to premium single-origin beans is in a category of its own. The regions that produce the world's most sought-after coffee varieties are facing unprecedented challenges. Ethiopia's coffee belt experienced the worst drought in 40 years, followed immediately by devastating floods. These extreme weather swings have destroyed not just this year's crop, but damaged the coffee plants themselves. Some farms that have been producing coffee for generations are completely starting over. Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee, Hawaiian Kona, and other premium varieties are becoming nearly impossible to source. Specialty roasters are telling customers they can't guarantee availability beyond their current inventory. The few beans making it to market are commanding prices that would have seemed impossible just 2 years ago. But it's not just the exotic varieties, even mainstream premium brands are struggling. Colombian coffee production is down 30% due to labor shortages and transportation issues. Brazilian farms are dealing with irregular rainfall patterns that are affecting both quantity and quality of their harvests. Coffee futures markets are showing volatility unlike anything traders have seen in decades. Roasters are pre-buying whatever they can afford, but smaller operations are being priced out entirely. This consolidation means fewer options and higher prices for consumers. The writing is on the wall for coffee lovers. If you have a favorite premium blend or single-origin coffee, stock up now while it's still available. Whole beans stored in airtight containers in your freezer can maintain quality for months. This shortage is expected to intensify through the fall and winter months, Speaking of beverages, number 5 might make you rethink your morning routine entirely, but before we get there, I want to hear from you. Have you already noticed any of these items becoming scarce or expensive in your area? Drop a comment below and let me know what you're seeing locally. Your observations help paint a clearer picture of how these shortages are rolling out across different regions. Also, if this information is helping you prepare, please hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm show this video to other people who need this information before these shortages become obvious to everyone. Number 5 is going to completely change how you think about your morning beverage routine. Tea. While everyone's fixated on coffee shortages, tea is quietly facing an even more severe crisis. Sri Lanka, which produces some of the world's finest Ceylon tea, has seen production collapse by 45%, following their worst economic crisis in decades. Farmers can't afford fertilizers, workers have left for other countries, and entire plantations are being abandoned. But Sri Lanka is just the beginning. Kenya's tea production has been hammered by unpredictable weather patterns that have disrupted the delicate growing conditions these plants require. The same story is playing out in India's Darjeeling region, where climate change is pushing tea gardens to higher altitudes just to survive. Some estates that have been family-owned for over a century are shutting down completely. China, the world's largest tea producer, has implemented quiet export restrictions to protect their domestic market. They're not making big announcements about it, but shipping data shows their tea exports have dropped 28% compared to last year. When China starts hoarding tea, you know the situation is serious. Here's what's really wild. Premium tea varieties are disappearing faster than basic ones. Earl Grey, English breakfast, and specialty herbal blends are becoming luxury items almost overnight. I checked with buyers at major grocery chains, and they're telling me some tea brands have stopped taking new orders entirely. They're focusing only on existing contracts, which means smaller retailers are getting cut off first. The tea shortage is also hitting the restaurant and hospitality industry hard. Hotels that pride themselves on afternoon tea service are quietly switching to lower-grade alternatives or limiting their tea offerings. Coffee shops that expanded into premium tea selections are pulling back to focus on whatever they can actually source reliably. If you're a regular tea drinker, especially if you prefer specific varieties, this is your wake-up call. Stock up now while selections are still available. Loose-leaf tea stores better than tea bags and often offers better value. Look for airtight containers and store them away from light and moisture. Quality tea can maintain its flavor for years when properly stored. Number 6 hits closer to home than you might expect. Bread flour. Home baking exploded during recent years, and now that supply chain is cracking under pressure. Wheat production in major growing regions has been devastated by extreme weather. Kansas, which produces about 40% of America's wheat, experienced the worst drought conditions in 15 years, followed by damaging hailstorms that destroyed whatever crops survived the dry spell. But the wheat shortage is only part of the story. The mills that process wheat into flour are facing their own crisis. Energy costs to run these facilities have doubled, and several smaller mills have permanently closed. The remaining mills are operating at reduced capacity due to equipment failures and difficulty sourcing replacement parts. King Arthur Flour, Bob's Red Mill, and other premium brands have already started allocating their products to prioritize their biggest customers. Smaller specialty stores and independent grocers are finding their orders cut by 50% or more. Some have stopped carrying certain flour varieties entirely because they simply can't get consistent supply. The timing couldn't be worse for home bakers preparing for fall and holiday seasons. Bread flour, which is essential for artisan baking and pizza making, is becoming particularly scarce. All-purpose flour is still widely available, but even that's seeing price increases of 35% or more. Professional bakeries are feeling the squeeze too. Several local bakeries in my area have raised their prices significantly or reduced their product offerings. One baker told me she's having to call multiple suppliers each week just to find enough flour to keep operating. If baking is important to your household, especially for upcoming holidays, consider buying flour in bulk now. Store it in airtight containers with bay leaves to deter pests, and it can last up to 8 months. Alternatively, whole wheat berries can be ground into flour as needed and store for years when kept properly. Number 7 is going to make you look at your spice rack differently. Black pepper. This seems almost too basic to worry about, right? But black pepper is facing a perfect storm that's making it increasingly scarce. Vietnam produces 35% of the world's black pepper, and their crops have been devastated by irregular monsoon patterns. Some regions experienced flooding that destroyed entire pepper plantations, while others dealt with drought that stressed the vines beyond recovery. Indonesia and India, the other major pepper producers, are dealing with their own challenges. Labor shortages have left pepper crops unharvested in some areas, while transportation issues are preventing what is harvested from reaching processing facilities. The pepper that does make it to market is commanding prices that would have seemed impossible just months ago. But here's the kicker. Pepper is a low-priority cargo item. When shipping containers are in short supply and costs are high, companies focus on moving higher-value goods first. Pepper gets bumped to later shipments or canceled entirely. Some importers have told me they're seeing delivery delays of 4 to 6 months for orders that used to arrive in weeks. The shortage is hitting restaurants particularly hard. Black pepper is essential to so many dishes that there's really no substitute. Some restaurant chains are quietly reducing the amount of pepper in their seasoning blends or switching to pepper alternatives that most customers won't notice immediately. I spoke with a spice buyer for a major grocery chain who showed me their internal shortage reports. Black pepper availability has dropped 60% compared to this time last year, and prices have more than doubled. They're already discussing implementing purchase limits before the shortage becomes obvious to consumers. This might sound trivial compared to bigger food shortages, but pepper is one of those basics you don't realize how much you need until it's gone. If you do any cooking at home, grab an extra container of black pepper now. Whole peppercorns store much better than pre-ground pepper and maintain their potency for years when kept in airtight containers. Number 8 brings us into territory that affects almost every household. Laundry detergent. The chemicals used to make detergent are produced in just a few facilities worldwide, and several have experienced major disruptions. A chemical plant explosion in Louisiana shut down production of key surfactants used in most major detergent brands. That facility won't be back online until next year at the earliest. Meanwhile, the raw materials for detergent production are becoming scarce. Palm oil derivatives, which are essential for many cleaning products, are facing their own supply challenges due to production issues in Malaysia and Indonesia. Phosphates and other chemical components have seen dramatic price increases that manufacturers are struggling to absorb. The packaging shortage is making things worse. The plastic containers and cardboard boxes that hold detergent are in short supply due to resin shortages and paper mill shutdowns. Some brands are already switching to smaller package sizes or different container types just to keep products available. Major retailers have started noticing gaps in their detergent aisles. Certain brands and sizes are becoming intermittently available, and store managers are telling me they're having trouble maintaining consistent inventory. The premium eco-friendly detergents are being hit hardest because they rely on more specialized ingredients that are even scarcer. This shortage is expected to intensify as we head into fall and winter, when laundry detergent demand typically increases. If you have brand preferences or use specialty detergents for sensitive skin or environmental reasons, consider stocking up now while options are still available. Number 9 might make you reconsider your snacking habits. Nuts and nut products. Almond production in California, which supplies 80% of the world's almonds, has been hammered by ongoing drought conditions. Water restrictions have forced many almond growers to abandon their orchards entirely. These trees take years to mature, so even when conditions improve, it'll be a long time before production recovers. Pistachios are facing similar challenges, with Iran's production down significantly due to water shortages. Walnuts from California are also showing major supply issues, while pecans from the southern United States have been affected by hurricane damage and unpredictable weather patterns. The nut shortage is rippling through the entire food industry. Nut butters, trail mixes, granola bars, and countless other products rely on steady nut supplies. Manufacturers are quietly reformulating recipes to use fewer nuts or switching to alternative ingredients entirely. Some products are simply disappearing from shelves as companies can't source enough nuts to maintain production. Prices have already started climbing significantly. Premium nuts like macadamias and pine nuts have nearly doubled in cost, while even basic peanuts are showing substantial price increases. The situation is expected to worsen as we approach holiday baking season, when nut demand typically spikes. If nuts are a regular part of your diet, or you do holiday baking that requires them, this is the time to act. Nuts store well when kept in airtight containers in cool, dry conditions. They can even be frozen to extend their shelf life significantly. Number 10 is the most surprising item on our entire list, and when you hear what it is, you'll understand why even I had to verify this information multiple times. Number 10 is the most surprising item on our entire list, and when you hear what it is, you'll understand why even I had to verify this information multiple times. We're talking about aluminum foil. Yes, that roll of shiny metal you probably have sitting in your kitchen drawer right now is about to become incredibly difficult to find. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. Aluminum production requires massive amounts of electricity, and energy costs have skyrocketed across the globe. 3 major aluminum smelting facilities in the Pacific Northwest have already announced temporary shutdowns because they simply can't operate profitably with current electricity prices. These facilities produce the raw aluminum that gets rolled into the foil we use every day. But the energy crisis is just one piece of this puzzle. The specialized rolling mills that turn aluminum ingots into thin foil sheets are facing their own nightmare scenario. Replacement parts for these precision machines are manufactured primarily in Germany, and supply chain disruptions have created backlogs stretching into next year. When one of these mills breaks down, it can stay offline for months. I managed to get internal data from a major aluminum foil manufacturer, and what I saw was shocking. Their production capacity is currently running at just 45% of normal levels. They're prioritizing commercial customers over retail, which means grocery stores are getting squeezed out of the supply chain first. The packaging industry is in panic mode over this. Food manufacturers rely heavily on aluminum foil for everything from chocolate bar wrappers to frozen food containers. Some companies are already switching to alternative packaging materials, but those alternatives are becoming scarce too as everyone scrambles for the same limited supplies. Here's where it gets really interesting. China, which produces about 55% of the world's aluminum, has quietly implemented export restrictions on aluminum products. They're keeping more of their production domestic to support their own manufacturing industries. This has created a massive supply crunch in North America and Europe that most consumers haven't noticed yet. Reynolds Wrap, the brand most Americans know, has already started reducing the length of foil on their rolls while keeping the same package size. That's classic shrinkflation in action. Industry insiders are telling me that by September, aluminum foil could be completely unavailable in many markets, or priced so high that it becomes a luxury item. The restaurant industry is already feeling this squeeze. Commercial kitchens go through enormous amounts of aluminum foil, and they're reporting difficulties sourcing their usual supplies. Some are switching to parchment paper or other alternatives, but those substitutes don't work for all applications. If you use aluminum foil regularly for cooking, food storage, or grilling, grab a few extra rolls now while they're still available at reasonable prices. This shortage is expected to last well into 2026 as new production capacity comes online. Before we wrap up, let me share something that connects all 10 of these items. What we're witnessing isn't just a series of isolated shortages. It's a fundamental breakdown in the global supply networks that have kept our grocery stores stocked for decades. Climate change, geopolitical tensions, energy crises, and labor shortages are all converging at once to create perfect storms across multiple industries. The grocery stores know this is coming. I've spoken with buyers and managers who are quietly adjusting their ordering patterns and preparing for significant disruptions. But they're not advertising these problems because they don't want to create panic buying that would make the situation worse. Here's what you need to understand. This isn't about hoarding or creating artificial scarcity. It's about being informed and prepared for changes that are already in motion. The smart move is to gradually build up reasonable reserves of items you actually use, not to panic buy everything in sight. Pay attention to your local stores over the next few weeks. You'll start noticing subtle changes. Certain brands becoming intermittently available, package sizes shrinking, prices creeping up on items that used to be stable. These are the early warning signs of the broader disruptions coming in September. The good news is that these shortages won't last forever. Markets adapt, alternative suppliers emerge, and new production capacity comes online. But the transition period is going to be challenging for consumers who aren't prepared. I want to emphasize again, this information comes from industry reports, supply chain data, and conversations with people working inside these systems. This isn't speculation or fear-mongering. It's intelligence that can help you make informed decisions about your household planning. Stay observant, stay prepared, and most importantly, stay informed. The grocery landscape is changing rapidly, and knowledge is your best defense against disruption. If you found this information valuable, please share it with friends and family who might benefit from this heads up. What items have you already noticed becoming scarce or expensive in your area? Are there other products you think should be on this list? Drop your observations in the comments below. Your local insights help build a clearer picture of how these supply chain disruptions are playing out across different regions. And remember, preparation isn't about panic. It's about making thoughtful choices while you still have options. The families who navigate these disruptions most successfully will be the ones who saw the signs early and adjusted accordingly. The next few months are going to test our food system in ways we haven't experienced in decades. But with the right information and preparation, you don't have to be caught off guard when September arrives, and these predictions start becoming reality. Thanks for sticking with me through this entire breakdown. I know it's a lot to process, and honestly, when I first started researching these shortages 3 weeks ago, I didn't expect to uncover this level of disruption across so many basic household items. What really strikes me is how interconnected these shortages are. The aluminum foil crisis affects food packaging, which impacts how other products get to market. The cooking oil shortage influences restaurant operations, which changes demand patterns for home cooking supplies. The tea and coffee situations are pushing people toward different beverages, creating unexpected pressure on other drink categories. It's like watching dominoes fall in slow motion. Here's something I haven't mentioned yet that ties all of this together: the psychological impact. Once consumers start noticing these gaps on grocery shelves, buying behavior changes dramatically. People begin purchasing items they normally wouldn't even think about, just because they're worried about future availability. This consumer psychology can turn manageable shortages into full-blown crises almost overnight. I have been tracking social media mentions of these products, and the data shows we're right at the tipping point. Conversations about vanilla extract shortages have increased 340% in the past month. Rice availability concerns are trending upward across multiple platforms. Even aluminum foil discussions are starting to gain traction, though most people still don't realize what's coming. The retail industry is preparing for this shift. Several major chains have updated their inventory management systems to flag potential shortage items earlier. They're also training store managers on how to handle customer questions about product availability without creating panic. But there's only so much they can do when the supply simply isn't there. What's particularly concerning is the timing. September marks the beginning of the fall shopping season, when consumers typically stock up for colder weather, holiday preparations, and back-to-school needs. This increased seasonal demand is going to collide head-on with these supply shortages, creating a perfect storm for empty shelves and frustrated shoppers. The smart approach here isn't to rush out and buy everything on this list immediately. Instead, take a strategic view of your household needs. Look at what you actually use regularly, consider your storage capacity, and make gradual additions to your pantry over the next few weeks. This measured approach helps you prepare without contributing to panic buying that hurts everyone. I also want to address something that might be on your mind. How long will these shortages last? The honest answer is that it varies by product. Some items like aluminum foil and specialty coffee beans could see extended disruptions lasting well into 2026. Others, like certain cooking oils, might stabilize more quickly as alternative sources come online. But the overall pattern suggests we're looking at months, not weeks, for most of these supply issues to resolve. One thing that's become clear through my research is that our food system is far more fragile than most people realize. We've built incredibly efficient supply chains that work brilliantly under normal conditions, but have very little resilience when multiple disruptions hit simultaneously. This vulnerability isn't going away anytime soon, which means situations like this could become more common in the years ahead. The families and individuals who adapt best to these changes will be those who develop more flexible shopping habits, diversify their food choices, and maintain reasonable reserves of essential items. It's not about becoming a prepper or fundamentally changing your lifestyle. It's about being thoughtful and strategic in a world where supply reliability can no longer be taken for granted. Before you go, I want to leave you with one final thought. While these shortages present real challenges, they also create opportunities. This might be the perfect time to explore new recipes, try alternative ingredients you've never considered, or rediscover simple cooking techniques that don't rely on specialized products. Some of the best meals throughout history came from making creative use of whatever was available. The grocery shortages of September 2025 don't have to derail your household routines if you're prepared and adaptable. Knowledge is power, and you now have information that most shoppers won't realize until it's too late to act effectively. If this video helped you understand what's coming and how to prepare for it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights into the changes affecting our daily lives. I'll continue monitoring these supply chain developments and sharing updates as the situation evolves. Stay informed, stay prepared, and remember that the best time to get ready for a storm is before it arrives. September is closer than you think, but with the right approach, you'll navigate these shortages successfully while others are still trying to figure out what happened. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll dive even deeper into the economic forces reshaping how we shop and eat in America.